What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock and what you should be looking out for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the news, data, and technicals affecting the overall market and NIO, and also what the shorts are doing right now when it comes to how they view NIO. Now, before I break anything down about this stock, before I get into any more details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Make sure you take none of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NEO community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 7 free stocks, and 5 out of those 7 free stocks could be a free NEO share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 3 weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NEO is down about 3% for the day at the time I'm recording this, and we are actually seeing more shorts continuing to pile in. Now, when I do talk about that, I want to break down more context about this first, and why this is actually not necessarily like as horrible as you may actually think. Now, to start us off, we have some very big data coming out for next week. We have CPI coming out. And before CPI came out, we actually had some jobs data. The non farm payrolls were a little bit higher than expected, or actually a lot higher than expected, meaning the jobs market still has some strength, but it did show some signs of weakness as unemployment did increase just a tiny bit by 0.2%. So it was a little bit hot overall. Unemployment did actually end up going up a little bit, which was good. Average hourly earnings did go up. Actually, they went down, excuse me, just a little bit as well. So we did see, once again, some good things out there, but overall, the amount of jobs that were filled did go up. That was a little bit concerning for the markets. Now, what else is very concerning is how the banks are performing right now. We're actually seeing the fact that the FDIC is getting involved and actually looking at the lenders, and they're actually looking at some bigger issues in the company in itself. Now, this is very important because the 16th largest US bank just actually ended up collapsing. And this is the biggest collapse since 2008. We have over $692 billion in unrealized losses, and the banks are continuing to struggle amidst the higher interest rates. Now, this is actually leading to some very big recessionary fears for the markets, and sentiment is actually shifting big time right now. As far as NEO goes, NEO does have some positive news and also some negative news. The positive news starts off with saying that right now we're actually seeing many analysts like Morgan Stanley believing that NEO has some very realistic expectations and could actually meet them. They're also talking about the fact that NEO has the potential to actually reach many of their goals. They do have some very realistic deliveries expectations, and we are actually anticipating that NEO will do very well for that. NEO also could be actually cutting prices even more. I think there was some talk about that. It's not as confirmed as other pieces of news, but the bottom line is NEO is going to be working very hard to bring back demand because that has been shifted very recently. And I do believe NEO will prevail through this. Now, what else is worth noting is there has been pretty average volume. NEO is dropping on average volume, and we're just below some very important support zones. The short volume percentage is continuing to go up, however. It's at 55% overall. Why is that? Well, we're actually seeing an increase in selling in NEO stock, but also lots of shorting simultaneously. If we go back a couple of days, NEO had about 3.7 million shares shorted on the 6th of March. Going into the 8th of March, it went up to over 6 million. So we actually saw almost 3 million, maybe about 2.4 to 2.7 million of these NEO shares being shorted in just a couple of days. Shorts were continuing to pile in. And when they have their eyes on a stock, they could be absolutely relentless. That's what's very important. Borrowing NEO shares is not as expensive as it is for other companies. So they're looking at this as a very good opportunity. Now, I also want to note that this news is not as bad as some people are thinking. I'm going to break that down in just a couple of minutes. The first reason is NEO has strong fundamentals still. I know NEO's margins and their profitability has been affected over the last couple of months because of very strong changes in the geopolitical structure in the world, and also because of what's happening in China right now. We're seeing investors, everyday people shifting their spending behaviors, saving a lot more money, and the demand is shifting big time over there as it is in the USA. Now, this is incentivizing NIO to cut prices more. They could actually do it even more. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But despite all of that, I do believe NIO is going to make it through all these hard times. It's just going to require time. Once NIO gets past it, they have the ET7, the ET5, amazing sedans, amazing SUVs. And I do believe NIO is going to have new models coming out as years go on, and they're going to continue to improve. I love the idea of battery swapping, and also the idea that you could also charge the cars. I love what NIO is working when it comes to their phone and etc. So they're making very big developments. I'm still very bullish long term. For the short term, however, I want to note something very important. We don't know what's going to happen exactly in the markets. We do have CPI coming out. President Joe Biden said CPI will likely be a good number. He actually said he's confident it's going to be good. Do I trust he's going to be correct? I don't actually. I don't know for sure if he's going to be correct, but there's a possibility he may have accidentally leaked it. He may be leaking it. Who knows? Because CPI is a very manipulated number. They could change it the way they want to based off different calculations. I don't truly know what's going to happen, but there is a possibility CPI could be a little hot. And I mean, sorry, not hot, as expected, maybe even lower than expected, just by a tiny bit. Who knows? I don't know for sure, but there is a chance the market could come down, maybe try to bounce a little, then continue with the bleeding as time goes on, because we could be forming a giant head and shoulders on SPY. Notice how we have a possible left shoulder right here. We have the head right here. We could be forming a right shoulder, which might be kind of small. I don't expect it to be that massive, but it could be kind of small, right? So I do think we have more downside to come. Maybe it all happens in one day, and maybe CPI causes, or CPI, whatever you want to call it, causes a small rebound. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, because it doesn't really matter, because either way, I still see more downside being very likely. And this is why I'm telling you that for companies out there like NIO, for example, I have NIO right here. NIO getting dragged down is not the end of the world. This is a buying opportunity because the whole market is tanking right now after what's happening with the banks, what's happening to the economy, what's happening amidst the rate hikes and etc. The whole market is taking a hit. The whole market is slowing down, not just NIO. So of course NIO is going to get dragged down because of it. The shorts are taking advantage of that, and they're seeing NIO as a very good opportunity for them to make a quick buck. That's why they're shorting even harder on NIO. It's also because this is a retail stock. We know how they play against retail, and just remember these levels. So NIO has resistance around $9, also the 9.13 area, followed by about 9.3, which is where we have the gap. NIO also has support at 8.3 then $8 as well. I mentioned to you all watch 8.3. That's exactly where NIO bounced today. The question is NIO going to get a continuation or not to the upside? I think the market might actually, it really depends on what happens on Monday, but I think we might sell off a little bit more. NIO might come down to the 8.3s, maybe $8, and we might be able to bounce off CPI. There's a possibility. I don't know for sure. I really don't know. It depends on the numbers, which is why I'm not going to be planning on holding way too many positions overnight. But it would be a very big surprise. And this would also align with what Joe Biden said, because he might just know something. He may have accidentally leaked it. He may have accidentally misspoke. Who knows? But like I said before, he could be right. Maybe it's going to be manipulated in a way where they try to destroy shorts again and they try to trick everyone, because everyone, or the majority of investors, are probably thinking the market's about to tank, it's about to crash. Who knows? Okay. Who really knows? But in my opinion, I think approaching CPI, the market might continue to drop more. I don't think we actually hit our pivotal levels just yet. And I do think NIO could get dragged down on Monday. Monday is going to be the last day until CPI comes out on Tuesday. So just be ready. CPI is coming out before the market opens on Tuesday. That's going to be very important. All right. So thank you all so much for listening. I wanted to make all of this very clear. My red flag, though, is even if NIO does bounce off CPI, even if that happens, okay, even if that does end up happening, I don't want to guarantee that NIO is already like pricing in its bottom. I don't know if the bottom is already in. There could be more future downside because shorts are once again piling into NIO. Shorts don't think NIO is just going to stop here. They're probably thinking that even if NIO bounces, they might try shorting more, and they might keep trying to drag this thing all the way down to the 8s. Even the 7s are very possible. I mentioned that in a previous video. NIO could get to the 7s, and that is a real possibility. It may not happen next week, but it is a possibility to be prepared for. Anyways, thank you all for listening. Once again, remain calm, cool, and collected. I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright. and peace out.